below 2,000, baby. Eden Palms, Monterey Road, I'm a project baby. Eagles Drive, we was at Oak Grove, barely graduated. We got Tasha, Molly, Bodie, Corbett, they gon' have to hate us.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the New Media Podcast. I'm your host. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed the last episode because, as always, today's going to be an even better episode. Of course, everybody's in the house today, and today we'll be discussing Week 18 of the NFL season. It's the final week of the regular season right before the postseason, and of course, we'll do one more overreaction, not overreaction at the end of it. But of course, before we jump into our topics today, temperature check. How's everybody doing today?
Man, final week of the regular season.
Big final week, man. Big final week, man. I'm excited.
Looking forward to it, man. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We have a couple games on Saturday. The first game on Saturday will be the Chiefs on the road playing the Las Vegas Raiders.
And the number one seed isn't secured in the AFC, correct?
Not yet.
My thing is though, the NFL still hasn't resolved the issues regarding, of course, it is more important than the game in regards to Damar Hamlin's health, but they still haven't resolved that issue, right? Of how they can, yeah.
No, not yet.
I'm gonna assume the Chiefs are still just gonna play it as if they can secure the number one seed. I liked what I saw out of Jared Stidham. I feel like he and Davante Adams connected a lot, and they probably will connect this game. The Chiefs have shown signs of vulnerability. They are beatable, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs in this game as they look to secure that number one spot. I mean, they've been one of the better teams in the entire NFL over the course of the season, to nobody's surprise. And I'm gonna go with Mahomes again, the MVP. So give me the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs go into this week knowing that they can secure the number one seed in a potential bye in the first round of the playoffs. And I feel like this game is going to be a close one, especially with how, Stidham played last week against the Niners defense. I feel like that the Chiefs defense is, it's going to be chops, but I'm going to ride with the MVP, man. I feel like, he's going to come in, put on a performance, and they're going to cook up. So I expect it to be a close game. What's the spread on this one?
-9.5 Kansas City.
I don't think it's going to be -9.5, man. I feel like these guys, sometimes when they play, it's always close. And I feel like Josh Jacobs and Devontae are going to be big part of this game. So we'll see what happens, but I got Chiefs clinching that one seed.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting matchup between these two teams. But of course, I'm going to take Kansas City in this spot. Simply because I did say 5 weeks ago this team won't lose another game after that loss to Cincinnati. So I'm going to stick with my word. I think this game has the potential to be, very, very high scoring. Two offenses, one led by Patrick Mahomes and the other with Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs. And, of course, healthy Darren Waller on that side. So it should be an interesting one being the first game on Saturday. But go ahead and give me Kansas City. I don't think they'll cover this -9.5 spread though, for it just because it's a divisional game and it's just too many points. I'm not comfortable with it. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The game I think everybody will be watching. The Tennessee Titans are on the road playing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Man, the matchup that we've been waiting for, especially considering if you're a Trevor Lawrence fan. And me being a big Trevor Lawrence fan, I really want to see him show up in this game. And I'm a rock with him. I mean, the offense has been cooking. This guy's just been phenomenal in the second half of this season since week 9. And I expect nothing less. I mean, the Titans haven't been particularly great, especially in the second half. They've struggled mightily, and I don't see them stopping them. And of course, when we talk about their offense, it's really just praying that Derrick Henry saves them. But I mean, I just don't see outcome where they can do anything offensively, and it just doesn't look good for them. So give me the Jaguars in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna rock with the Jaguars, due to the fact that Trevor Lawrence has been hot these last couple of weeks, and they've been going, man. And Joshua Dobbs, I don't know if that's his first name. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's going to be that guy, especially even with Derrick Henry playing. It's going to take a lot more than just Derrick Henry. So I feel like there's a lot of holes in that offense, and their defense has been suspicious late in the season as well. So I'm gonna ride with the Jags. Trevor Lawrence is the truth, man. It's finally his time to shine and make the playoffs, and make it work in the second season.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what the game plan is for the Tennessee Titans in this one. Of course, we know what their game plan is, what their game plan has been all season when Derrick Henry's healthy, and I'm sure he'll be back for this one. But it doesn't necessarily, sway me enough to go ahead and pick him in this spot. I'll go ahead and take the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game, to win their division, and go host a playoff game for the first time in a while. I think Trevor Lawrence has one of those games where he kind of steps up into the moment, goes crazy, 300 passing yards, maybe a couple touchdowns, kind of solidifies himself as who he is in this league and where he belongs in terms of the rankings for the quarterbacks. But I'll take the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do I believe they cover this -6 spread? I think they do. I think the Titans have a hard time trying to move the ball. Derrick Henry can only do so much. At the end of the day, your quarterback has to pass the ball. I think with Joshua Dobbs under center, it's going to be really, really tough time for the Tennessee Titans. So the more times the defense is out on the field, just the more opportunity for Trevor Lawrence. So go ahead and give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. That closes out our Saturday slate, though. We'll go ahead and move on to our Sunday slate of games. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road playing the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, I definitely don't think Mike Evans will go for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns again. I can guarantee that. But I mean, maybe last week was a positive sign for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and feeding their best wide receiver. I mean, it should have been their game plan the last 16 weeks. I mean, it feels like Mike Evans has had a down year, and he's still gonna somehow crack 1K. It just feels like every year he does that. But if I'm the Falcons, I mean, there isn't a whole lot that they're playing for. But in reality, I mean, they've been looking up. This is another game to see where Desmond Ridder is in terms of his development, whether he's going to be their future quarterback or not. But I have the Buccaneers winning this game. I feel like this is another one of those games where they kind of need to get into rhythm in the beginning. I don't know if they're going to fully play out their entire starters for the rest of the game, but I feel like they're going to maybe get some reps here and there just to stay ready for the playoff game that they're going to host. So give me the Buccaneers. I still feel like even if they do bench their starters, they have enough quality to win this game.
There's no implications for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers even if they lose this game, right?
Not at all.
No, they're going to host regardless.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to play their starters at all. Like, what's the point of going into this week playing your starters and potentially,
what if like how teams like in the beginning, like first quarter, like
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm resting them, to be honest.
I'll say this though. There is a report going around saying that Todd Bowles is expected to play the Buccaneers starters in Week 18 versus the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, so if he is playing them, then I'm rocking with Tampa. I feel like like I'd said, if they are gonna play, this is a week for them to get into rhythm. March into that first round of the playoffs, and I'm expecting them probably to either host the Cowboys or the Vikings. Depends, or the Eagles. It can be. They can get either 4 of those teams, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm gonna take Tampa. And Atlanta, they're gonna just come into the game with Ridder and game manage with him and focus on the run game. But I don't think their defense is gonna be able to contain Tom Brady and Tampa Bay.
If any of the starters step foot onto the field in this game on both sides of the ball, defense and offense, I think it's just bad coaching all around from Todd Bowles. They're playing for pretty much nothing. They can't move up in the standings and they can't move down. They've already clinched a spot in the playoffs and they won the division, so they're 100% guaranteed to host a playoff game. It makes absolutely zero sense. You're putting your star players at risk, knowing that you're playing an additional week of football the following week for Wild Card Weekend. But with that being said, of course, if the starters are playing, I'm more comfortable taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this one. I feel like if they do play, regardless of the outcome, I think they probably get pulled maybe at halftime, and the backups probably just play the rest of the way. So the Buccaneers still win this game, move on to 9-8. That's Atlanta Falcons. They'll be looking forward to the offseason. We'll go ahead and move on to a more interesting matchup. We have the New England Patriots on the road playing the Buffalo Bills.
It's been great how the Patriots have played in. I want to know what the spread is on this one. Can you guys hear me?
The spread in this game is Bills -7.5.
That's kind of crazy for a divisional game, especially one with playoff implications. But I'm gonna rock with the Buffalo Bills in this game. I mean, they're on the hunt for that number 1 seed as well. We don't know what the NFL is going to be doing with their Bengals matchup. But I'm going to still see it as these guys want to secure that number 1 spot. They're after it. And I mean, Josh Allen, I like him up against anybody. And I just don't feel comfortable with Mac Jones. I understand the Patriots defense is good and they know how to game plan against a team's best players, but I just don't feel comfortable trusting Mac Jones in a game that has playoff implications. I don't think he'll rise to the occasion. So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in this game.
Both teams fighting for playoff position. Patriots fighting to stay in, Bills fighting to get the 1 spot, depending on what happens with their game with the Bengals, if they play it or not. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm gonna take the Bills on this one. I'm gonna go with Josh Allen, Diggs, and I feel like the team's gonna come out and with some fire in them and fight. So I got the Bills winning. Sorry for the Patriots, man. You know, they fought tough. You know, if they could have got that Raiders game, and I forgot the game after the Raiders that they lost.
The New England Patriots.
Against the
Yeah, I know you're
Bengals.
talking about. I
Bengals,
know
Bengals, Bengals,
Yeah, there we
Bengals.
go. So
Bengals
you know, they
game.
lost two tough ones. They're gonna look back at that and be like, we potentially could have been in the playoffs. You know, a couple of less mistakes, but I'm rocking with the Bills here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Buffalo in this game. I mean, the last time these two teams matched up, it wasn't really like a good looking game. Defensive on both sides of the ball. The Bills did end up winning that game 24-10. Josh Allen, he was just decent in that game, and I think it'll be the same thing in this matchup. The Patriots, you know, it was a nice season for them. They showed a little bit of fight throughout the season, but the Bills, they know what's at stake in this position, especially with their last game currently being postponed. You know, the number one seed in the AFC is still wide open for teams like Kansas City and the Bengals to snatch up that spot. And they, like I said all year, they want to host a playoff game, multiple playoff games, and they want, you know, the Super Bowl for the route for the AFC team to go to the Super Bowl. It has to go through Buffalo. So go ahead and give me the Buffalo Bills in this one. But do I think they'll cover this -7.5 spread? If we're looking at the score from last game, yeah, but I feel like the Patriots, they'll be playing it with a lot more aggression. So I think the Bills probably win this game by at least like 6. But with that being said, we'll go and move on to another interesting game. We have the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. This game will be played in Cincinnati. Both teams are playing this game, and the winner will be the crowned the AFC North champion.
I mean, like, it sucks that Lamar Jackson is going to be for this game, especially considering how huge a game like this is. But I'm going to go with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, man. Like, the better offense, and I understand how good the Ravens defense has been this season, especially the second half of this season, but I just cannot trust them on offense. They don't have much going for them. I mean, Mark Andrews had a good game last week, but I don't expect that to be repeated. I mean, this team just really struggles offensively, and J.K. Dobbins has been their main source of offense on the ground, and he's been playing great, but I still don't trust them enough on offense to go toe-to-toe with the Bengals. And I feel like the Bengals got a really underrated defense, so I'm going to rock with the Bengals in this game. I feel like they're going to win the North in this game.
Man, I'm agreeing with you right there. I think I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I'm hearing, you know, the Ravens are showing some frustration on Lamar Jackson, not holding out, but being very cautious about this knee injury and him not practicing whatnot. But the offense, man, it's to me, the offense is not there without him. You know, it's very tough. Although Mark Andrews did get involved last week, but I just don't expect that to happen again. Huntley, he's never going to throw for more than 130 yards, and it's very limited to that offense. So I'm gonna go with Bengals. I feel like Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. You know, this offense is going to cook up, and defense been showing up lately. So I got the Bengals winning.
Yeah, this game was supposed to be a little interesting matchup if Lamar Jackson were to play. But unfortunately, it's looking like he's not going to play, especially with Harbaugh being in the unknown right now with his status. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. They're going to clinch the AFC North and have opportunity to fight for that number one seed in the AFC. But do I believe they'll cover this -7 spread? I don't think they'll cover this spread. I think the Ravens will put up a decent fight, a good enough fight to cover this spread. But the Bengals are still going to win outright. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, at least the Ravens can, you know, they're going to be in the playoffs regardless. And with an extra week of rest for Lamar Jackson, it's not the worst thing in the world. But of course, you'd rather have him out there with the opportunity to win your division on the line. So I can see the frustrations inside the Baltimore Ravens organization with him. But at the same time, Lamar Jackson is doing what's best for him. Everybody knows that he's looking to get paid this offseason. He was supposed to get paid last offseason for being honest with each other. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And of course, money talks. So and Lamar Jackson is going to value his health more than the game of football at this point until he gets paid. So respect to him, and go ahead and give me the Bengals in this one. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to the next matchup, a game that nobody will be watching. The Houston Texans are on the road playing the Indianapolis Colts.
This one kind of reeks, man. This one stinks. I actually don't know who to pick in this one because both teams are just like bad. Like they're awful watches. I don't know if I want to go with the Texans. I don't know if I want to go with the Colts. Big H, we might need a coin toss on this one, man. They're both teams reek, man.
I ain't gonna lie. I think I'm going with the Texans.
You know what's crazy? I was leaning towards the Texans.
They've been showing some fight lately the last couple of
Like the
weeks.
Colts, just like they suck. Like
Well, I don't know who
just,
they tossing me in at quarterback next week, and
they
I'm
got
not
Nick
prepared.
Foles and
I
Zach
haven't
Moss.
opened up the playbook yet. You know what I'm saying? I haven't studied. I gotta find my cleats. So we're not prepared. But I think I'm taking the Texans.
Yeah, I can't lie. This game, I'm taking the Texans. I mean, they have shown fight as of recently against teams other than this recent Jaguars game against the Cowboys and against the Chiefs. They've shown some flashes here and there. I'm gonna go with them. I feel like they're the team with a little bit more intensity to them. Of course, it's a divisional game, but like these guys just reek, man. Like they both. This is just. It's not even a bit off. This is garbage off. So I'm gonna go with the Texans in this game, though.
I think it's a little interesting how they have the Colts -2.5 in this matchup. The Colts have looked pretty much terrible these last couple of weeks, but I like the Texans in this spot, so I'm going to agree with you guys. I'll take the Houston Texans to win this game. They'll play with a lot more fire compared to the Colts. The Colts they look like they're in shambles right now, especially with everything that's been going on with them. And I don't think Nick Foles is going to be ready to go in this matchup. So it'll be Sam Ehlinger under center. I don't trust him, so I'll take the Texans. But the next game we have is the New York Jets, who have been eliminated from the playoffs last week, are on the road playing the Miami Dolphins.
Man, the Dolphins need to win this game, and they need the Bills to beat the Patriots. But they're rocking with a backup quarterback. They just don't really have much to play for, but they still got a good enough defense. This one's kind of an interesting one. But I'm gonna it's tough for me. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins again, man. I like the offensive pieces that they got going on, and the showing that I saw from Mike White against the Seahawks kind of just it struck me the wrong way. I mean, I expected him to be a little bit better, and he was just downright terrible. And I don't know if that dissuade how they feel about Mike White, but I'm gonna go with the Dolphins in this game just because of the pieces that they have on the outside. But I mean, they have a major downgrade at quarterback without Tua, man. But I feel like with this team knowing that they need to win this game for the playoffs, I'm gonna go with them.
Abdi, man, I feel like you're kind of giving points to Yao here. I feel like you kind of want him to win this money. I don't know, man. You're rocking with Skylar Thompson. Like even if Mike White,
I ain't complaining, man.
Week,
I ain't
right?
complaining.
Yeah, his pick locked in. He already sent it in. You know what I'm saying? It's locked in. But Mike White with the week he had last week.
I mean, what are the Jets playing for though? They're playing for nothing.
Yes, it doesn't. Hey, they're playing for the third spot in the division, man. The Dolphins go to the last spot. It's pride at this point. It's a division game. You're not gonna go in there and just be like, okay, it's week 18. We're not gonna play for fun. Come on now, they're grown men. They're getting paid. They're gonna play. And I think I'm gonna rock with the Jets here, even though that the offense is looking fluky, but I really trust that defense, man. I feel like that defense is gonna clamp Skylar Thompson. They're gonna force a couple turnovers, and they're gonna have a fun day to end the season. To go the way they're sitting at 8-8.
Yeah, the Jets.
Yeah,
7-9.
7. Yeah,
7-9.
Hey, end the season 8-9. It's not too bad. Losing Breece Hall early in the season and going through about 3 to 4 quarterbacks this season is not too bad what they've been through. So it's kind of a good position. They're gonna have a good draft pick, but I feel like they're gonna come out and still have some fight.
Yeah, I think I read a report earlier today that said Robert Saleh wasn't looking to bench any of his guys going into this week, even though they know they're mathematically eliminated. So I'm taking the Jets in this spot. The Miami Dolphins are in shambles right now, especially at the quarterback position. Skylar Thompson is going to be starting under center. I think Teddy Bridgewater is not going to be able to go in this game. And the Jets, I feel like if the Jets were playing a different team outside of their division, they probably would have benched a majority of their guys, but simply because they know they're playing a team in their division, a team that's looking to make the playoffs, why not spoil the Miami Dolphins season? If the Jets know they've been knocked out last week, why let the Miami Dolphins make the playoffs? I have the chance to make the playoffs by helping them out in this spot. So go ahead and give me the Jets. I think Mike White will be better this week, and like I said, I just don't trust the Miami Dolphins quarterback situation right now. So the Jets are favored right now, -1. So Vegas as well is on the fence with this matchup, but I think the Jets probably win by probably like a field goal. So I'll take the Jets. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Carolina Panthers are on the road playing the New Orleans Saints.
Ooh, this one This one's kind of a interesting one, but I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I like what I've seen from Sam Darnold as of recently. I know he had some turnovers in that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, but he did have some positive signs. He was able to get guys involved, and he was making some impressive throws, and he was up 14-0 at one point. So, I mean, he has shown some flashes for this team, and maybe I don't think he's a solution for them. Definitely at quarterback, but he has shown some capability in just manning down the ship for them. So I'm gonna go with them in this game. I don't know, like the Saints, like I like what I see from their defense at times, especially with how they played against the Eagles. But that was with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, and I know the Sam Darnold, Gardner Minshew isn't a huge upgrade, but Minshew is very turnover prone. He's very erratic as a quarterback, and Sam Darnold, I understand he had some turnovers this game, but like he has shown he can get guys like DJ Moore involved. He has shown he that running game is very capable. So I like what I see from the Panthers. I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rock with the Saints, man. Getting Lattimore back on defense, I just feel like that defense is gonna hold down, and all you need is Andy Dalton to get 2 touchdowns, and he can do that. So I think I'm gonna rock with the Saints. Panthers, going into this week, they have nothing to lose. I feel like going into this week, they're gonna need their draft pick. They need a top draft pick, maybe get another quarterback. Sam Darnold did hold down the ship, but I just think the Saints defense is too stagnant. So I got the Saints winning, and hopefully, Kamara has a good last game, and hopefully it's his last game in the Saints uniform, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's no way the Carolina Panthers are going to sweep the New Orleans Saints in a single season. So I'll take the Saints in this game. Yeah, the Carolina Panthers have been playing great in these recent weeks, but at the same time, the Saints defense is still respectable. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. I think they'll hold up their end of the bargain, and the offense will be they'll just be decent. Alvin Kamara will probably show up a little bit in this game, and Andy Dalton just has to steady the ship and kind of just put up a few touchdowns here and there, and that'll be enough to win this game because I feel like Sam Darnold, yeah, he had that 3-touchdown game last week, but at the same time, we've seen every version of Sam Darnold, so you never really know what you're gonna get with him. So I feel like this might be one of those down weeks heading into the offseason. This team does need a quarterback next year, and I feel like they'll probably address that situation in the offseason. So go ahead and give me the Saints in this one. The Saints minus 3.5. I think they cover this, to be honest. I think they probably win by maybe like 6 points though. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. We have the Cleveland Browns on the road playing the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh, the Browns are looking to build momentum. The Steelers are trying to get into the playoffs. They do need some things to go right for them. I believe they need the Jets to beat the Dolphins and probably Bills beat the Patriots or something. Those two scenarios, and they need to win as well. So, I mean, the Steelers, like, I don't know what it is. Mike Tomlin tells these guys when they're like 2-6 or when they're like 1-5, like, hey, it's time to get me that winning record, because it feels like every year the Steelers somehow sneak away with a winning record. They somehow finish 500. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers in this game. I like how their defense is played. I like how Najee's been playing the second half of this season, and Kenny Pickett has shown some flashes as a quarterback. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if this is another week where Deshaun Watson starts picking up even more and getting more into rhythm, and he has a very efficient day. But I'm gonna go with the Steelers in this game.
Man, I'm going with the Steelers as well, man. Although the Browns, they look good in rhythm last week, but the Steelers been in rhythm these last 6 weeks, especially that defense is stingy. Minka back, T.J. Watt's back, and Najee, that offense, man, he's carrying it right now. He's looking fantastic, And Kenny Pickett's coming in for these game-winning drives, game manager type quarterback, but a couple games, game-winning drives, and he's been carrying them as well. So I got the Steelers, maybe they got a slight chance to make the playoffs, and it'd be crazy if they do. So, I got the Steelers winning, and Browns, we'll see what happens. They're trying to, force the run game with Nick Chubb, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So go Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, I think I picked the Steelers these last couple of weeks. Well, actually, no, I picked them to lose to the Raiders. So, but last week they did me a solid. They got me a win against the Ravens. And I'm going to pick them again in this spot. Simply because, the Browns, I feel like this is probably the week Deshaun Watson kind of takes a step back and struggles a lot. The Steelers defense is going to be harassing him all game because the Steelers, they know what's at stake in this position. They need to, at least solidify themselves and get themselves a win, and hopefully have all the dominoes fall their way on the outside. So they know what's on the line right now, alongside Mike Tomlin's record. So I like to see the Steelers in this spot. I think they'll win this game. So go ahead and give me them. -2.5. I mean, I think they'll probably cover the spread. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next game, our last 10 o'clock game. We have the Minnesota Vikings on the road playing the Chicago Bears, who will be without Justin Fields this week.
And you guys are still looking to get the second seed, correct?
Yeah, but we need the Cardinals to win. So
That's a bit tough. But I'm assuming either way, the Vikings are going to play as though they're going to be able to win that second seed. So, and without Justin Fields, I mean, they have absolutely no shot in winning this game. It should be a clear cut. Vikings are going to win this game, especially after that last week ass whooping. They need to bounce back from this and get into playoff form. So, give me the Vikings in this game.
Yeah, it's nothing about the Bears that I want when whoever the starting at backup quarterback. So I got the Vikings winning this one. They got to get back into rhythm. Feel like they're going to put a lot of points on board. So we'll see what happens, but go Vikings.
yeah, I'm gonna pick my Vikings to win this one. But I hope we don't necessarily have to play a full 4 quarters football. Hopefully, our second unit can come in after halftime when the lead is already solidified and they can carry the load for the rest of the way. If Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson have to play all the way to the end of the fourth quarter, that's going to be bad on us. Because I want all of our guys healthy going into the postseason, and I don't want to run the risk of injury. But I won't say too much about this game. The Vikings are going to win. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Nathan Peterman, I think, will be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And nobody in the world trusts Nathan Peterman. So I got my Vikes winning. So let's go Vikes. But we'll go ahead and move on to our first 1 o'clock game. We have the Los Angeles Chargers on the road playing the Denver Broncos.
And there's no playoff implications for the Chargers in this, right?
Not at all.
I don't know. Who's going to start at quarterback then? Like, are they going to rock with their starters?
I'm not too sure if they're going to be playing the starters or not. No word has come out from Los Angeles about that.
I mean, the Broncos reek, man. Russell Wilson's still dog shit. Nothing will change about that for me. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I mean, I'm still never gonna trust Russ. I'm sorry, the guy's ass, but yeah, give me the Chargers. Whoever they put out there.
I think if they do, I feel like they're going to bring out Herbert in there for at least the first half. I just feel like it. But knowing the Chargers, though, man, they're probably scared of injuries and everything, especially this whole season of the amount of injuries they packed on. They might just bench everybody. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Broncos. They have nothing to lose. They're probably going to play all their starters, and that defense probably is going to hold the bench to not a whole lot of scoring. So, I got the Broncos.
This one's a very, very interesting one, especially with how the last matchup went between these two teams on Monday night, where the Broncos almost had an opportunity to beat this team. But I don't know. Something's telling me that the Broncos they're probably gonna come out and win this game simply because the Chargers' star players aren't gonna be on the field as much, especially with no playoff implications on the line, nothing on the line. I don't think Justin Herbert or Keenan Allen or Mike Williams are gonna risk themselves and Austin Eckler for a regular season game that means nothing to them, knowing that they're playing an extra week of football after this. So I'll take the Broncos in this spot. They want to end the season off on a high note. Last week they put up a fight without their head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think they're probably going to want to close the season off on a W and just look forward to the offseason and helping and finding a better head coach for Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson in year 2. What's it going to look like with him in the Denver Broncos? So go ahead and give me the Broncos in this one. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. I think all eyes will be on this game for the 1 o'clock game. The New York Giants are on the road playing the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, we are unsure if they'll be without Jalen Hurts this week.
And this has no implications on the Giants, correct?
No implications for them.
But it definitely does for the Eagles as they're looking to secure that the top seed, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm gonna still go with the Eagles in this game. Just off the talent that they have and the fact that the Giants, there's not any real implications for them, and they rather protect their starters and stay healthy and ride off on this momentum that Daniel Jones has carried throughout the season. I'm going to go with the Eagles. They're the more talented group. Even if Gardner Minshew's out there, I still feel like he has enough weapons to take advantage of this Giants defense that probably aren't going to be playing much of their starters. So,
didn't Brian Dabble say that he's going to play all of his starters coming into this last week?
He did say that.
It could be like a early of the game type of thing though.
And man, if Jalen Hurts doesn't play this week, man, it's pretty tough, man. I feel like Giants do, come in and be, make a point and emphasis saying that we're for real. We're not scared of anybody. Going into the playoffs at 10-6, sitting at that 60, they can, upset anybody. So I'm gonna take the Giants on this one. I feel like they're gonna come in. Gardner Minshew's not gonna have a good day, and it's gonna be disappointing again. So go Giants.
To be honest, there's just no scenario I can see where the Eagles don't put out Jalen Hurts this week. They know what's on the line. If they lose this game to the Giants, who are not looking to bench any of their guys, they're moving all the way down to a wild card position. It's not like they're moving down just a spot from like 1 to 2, where you still host 2 playoff games, but you don't host that third game. If they don't win this game, they're going all the way down to a wild card spot, and they're not hosting any playoff games. So I think Jalen Hurts will be out there for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm looking at the summary right now. It looks like he practiced today with them, so it's a step in the right direction. So go ahead and give me Philly in this one. I just can't see them losing at home back-to-back weeks to the Saints and to the Giants. The Giants will put up a decent fight, though. Don't get me wrong. With all their starters playing, I don't think they'll just let the Philadelphia Eagles come in there, come at being at home, just win the game outright. They'll put up a fight, but the Eagles with Jalen Hurts will be just enough to secure that number 1 seed in the NFC and in the division, and then they get to host 2 playoff games back-to-back coming off a bye week. So go ahead and give me Philly in this one. But I don't think they'll cover this -14 spread, though. I think that's a bit disrespectful.
That's kind of nuts, man.
Yeah,
That's kind of crazy.
-14 spread, I think it's a bit extreme. It's a divisional game, and especially with knowing that the Giants are going to be playing all their guys and the Eagles will have all their guys, it should be a very, very close game. So go ahead and give me Philly. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Arizona Cardinals are on the road playing the San Francisco 49ers.
A lot of people are praying that the Cardinals beat the Niners. The Vikings need that. I need that. Ironically, if we win, potentially if this happens and then we win later on. So I mean, there's a lot of eyes hoping that the Cardinals end up winning this game, but that's just not going to happen realistically. I'm giving the Niners. I mean, they're easily the better team. They're better offense, better defense. Just straightforward for me. They're the all-around better team. They're just going to be dominant in this game. So give me the Niners.
Yeah, good luck to David Blau. I think that is the 4th-string quarterback. Niners coming back from vengeance, man. Like I said last week, their defense been letting up a lot of points. I feel like this is the get right week right here, and a possible chance to secure the number 1 seed as well. So I feel like they're gonna put on performance, and we know what the offense is gonna bring. They've been clicking. Purdy been hooping. Ayuk been hooping. Kittle been hooping, and we don't even got to talk about McCaffrey, man. So they got all their pieces rolling. They just got to get the defense right, and I feel like it's the week to get it right. And Chargers, man, end of the season 4-13.
Yeah, 4-13 for the Cardinals if they lose this game.
Yeah, they right on point, man. So big offseason for them. So we'll see what happens.
I'm going to take the Niners for all the reasons you guys said. But I'll just have one question: are they going to cover this -14 spread?
I don't know. Like
this one, I will. I'm going to say yes.
I feel like they might go like 10 points, but 14 is a bit. I don't know. Like high spreads in divisional games, I just feel like those almost never cover.
Arizona is some ass.
They are some ass, but like it's still a divisional game. They have some shame,
No DeAndre Hopkins, Arnie 4th-string quarterback. Cliff Kingsbury, he's tapped out already. He's thinking about vacation next week. So, I think they hit it.
I don't think they cover this spread. I think this is probably a 10-point win for the Niners. They'll probably take their foot off the gas in the second half, and that's probably when the Cardinals will strike, and they'll get a lot of garbage time points, in my opinion. So I think the Niners win this game by 10. I'd like
to put a wager on it with both of you guys, man.
Nah, I'm not a betting man when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals and David Blau. But go ahead and give me the Niners to win this game outright, though. Hopefully, if there's a miracle, I hope the Cardinals win this game, but I just can't see it happening. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Los Angeles Rams are on the road playing the Seattle Seahawks.
Man, this is the game. I'm going to go ahead and say something real quick because I know you're going to talk about this game. This is the game that you're hoping for. I have the Seahawks winning this game. It's pretty straightforward for me. They need to win this game for their playoff implications. It's not going to be a bye week like you keep thinking weeks back. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that. It's not going to be a bye week, but I got the Seahawks winning this game.
No bye week this week, man. I feel like we got to come into this week and just go with the game plan. Get K Walker the ball and start him off immediately, Just let him rip it off immediately. So I feel like we're going to focus on that, get the play action going, involve, our tight ends, and hopefully opens up the game for DK and Tyler Lockett. They weren't really much involved last week, but I hope they are this week. And defensively, Cam Akers been cooking the last like 5 to 6 weeks, and I feel like we got to emphasize on stopping the run. And I feel like they really want to run the ball against us. They think that's going to be a thing that they're going to get productions from. But I hope we clamp up on that side of the ball. Man. I think we come out and we pray to see what happens with the Detroit and Packers game at nighttime.
Something's telling me the Rams are going to look. They're looking to spoil the Seahawks season in this game, especially with how the last game went. With the Rams almost winning that game in Los Angeles. I'll take the Seahawks to win this game. I think the Rams cover the spread though, -6.5. As a betting man, I would take Rams plus 6.5. And I wouldn't be afraid to sprinkle a little bit of money line in there. The Rams are, even though their season is done, similar to the Miami Dolphins and Jets game, they're not looking to let a division rival get into the playoffs or have an opportunity to get to the playoffs. But the Seattle Seahawks, it's pretty simple. You guys pretty much said it all. They know what's at stake in this position. They need a win, and hopefully a couple of other dominoes fall their way for them to make the playoffs. And the Rams will try their best to win. But I think this game will be a little bit close. What they did last game with Cam Akers running the ball, they'll probably do the same thing in this one. And the Seattle Seahawks and the Rams will go back and forth. But I like the Seahawks in this spot. Go ahead and give me Seattle to win outright. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to our next game. The Dallas Cowboys are on the road playing the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, this is obvious. Give me the Cowboys. I mean, the Washington Commanders tanked their season by starting Carson Wentz, and I believe neither of them are not starting this week. If I'm right, I don't know which
Sam
matchup was
Howell.
Sam Howell
starting this week.
Yeah. So I mean, never heard of the guy in my life. Yeah, I don't think there's much reason for me to pick the Commanders in this game. So give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, Sam Howell. Who is he? And is he another Netflix character they're bringing in?
Another NPC.
They're pairing him up with Brian Robson in the backfield, man. Just a couple of NPCs hooping, that's it. But I got the Cowboys winning this game, man. Just all the talent that they have, and for them to have a chance to secure that 1 seed, so it's possible, or the 2 seed, just in case. We don't know what's gonna happen, but they're gonna win this one, and it's gonna be fairly, not close. So I got the Cowboys. I do want to see Dak not have any turnovers this game, man. He can't come into this week throw another 2 picks and have a fumble, and everybody's gonna be like, it's okay, they won the game, but I don't want him to have any turnovers. I need a clean game from him.
It's gonna be interesting, and it's gonna be interesting to see what the Washington Commanders do with Ron Rivera after this game. But I think it was good of him to start to name Sam Howell as the starting QB for this game. No need to put Taylor Heineke out there. No need to put Carson Wentz out there. Guys that you've already seen this season. Just throw in a guy that you drafted. And see what he's made of in one game. Let's see. It gives you a little bit of knowledge going into the offseason whether or not you need to go grab a quarterback, or you can just stick with Sam Howell moving forward. But I'll take the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. The opportunity for them is the opportunity of being the 1 seed in the NFC after how their season went, where Dak Prescott gets hurt in the first game, and you have the backup come in, Cooper Rush, kind of carry the ship a little bit, and Dak Prescott coming back, now leading this team to 12-4. They're probably praying the Giants beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Three NFC East teams in right there. But give me the Cowboys to win this game. Not much for the Washington Commanders. Do I believe they cover this -7 spread though? I think they do. I think it's probably going to be a tough day for Sam Howell simply because the defense is going to be flying high all over the field. But he'll probably show a little bit of flashes here and there. But go ahead and give me the Cowboys. But we'll go ahead and, with that being said, we'll move on to our Sunday Night Football matchup, a game that got flexed to Sunday night. The Detroit Lions are on the road playing the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers control their own destiny in this one. If they win, they're in. If the Detroit Lions win, I think they need another team to lose in order to make the playoffs.
They need the Seahawks to lose. So all we need to do is win, and all they need to do is win and hope the Seahawks lose a game. If the Seahawks lose a game beforehand, I mean, that's tough for the Lions. They're coming into this game. They'd be coming into this game knowing that their playoff hopes are done. But Of course, it's still a divisional game, so they're gonna try their best. But give me the Green Bay Packers, man. I'm not doubting my team at this point in the season. From basically 8% odds to potentially on the brink of making the playoffs. And last 2 weeks, I mean, we beat the Dolphins and we beat the Vikings, and now we have the Lions, who have a very good offense, but our defense has been playing lights out. And I have no doubt that they'll again come to this game with Jared Goff, who's actually terrible on the road. His road splits are absolutely awful, and I don't see an outcome where he's going to win this game. I understand they have good offensive pieces, and they're also hoping to make the playoffs, but no, give me my own team. I don't think Jared Goff is going to perform in a game like this. So,
Ha ha ha. This is where the Packers, little streak ends, This is the weekend that is goodbye, go on vacation, Rodgers, go to the mountains, take care, whatever he's be taking up in the mountains, whatever it's called again, I forgot. But Lions, last time they played against them, they forced 3 interceptions on Rodgers, man. So I feel like this defense been, last 6-7 weeks they've been cooking, they've been in shape. Jared Goff been a fantastic quarterback this year. I think throwing for 4,300 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, and he's been playing phenomenally well on that offense. So even though if they find out Seattle wins, I feel like Dan Campbell's gonna want to win this game, prove a point, saying my team's better than the Packers, and we're here to stay. And I got the Lions winning, and let's go.
I'm gonna have to do something I don't necessarily want to do in this game. I'm gonna pick the
stand on it, man. Stand on it.
No. I'm not gonna sit here and pick the Detroit Lions to beat the Green Bay Packers. Although I do want to see that. I just can't afford to lose a point, in any scenario, where the Green Bay Packers win. So I'm going to pick the Green Bay Packers to win this game. And of course, like I said in our last episode, the scripting is right there, is written on the wall. The Green Bay Packers will not miss the postseason once again, even though this team started off, 4-8. They were on a 5-game losing streak midseason, and I thought their season was dead in the water. But nope, here we are. 7-8 weeks later, they control their own destiny with the win, and they're in. So I feel like they'll control the game from start to finish. Like I mentioned in the Seattle Seahawks Rams game, if the Rams are able to win that game, I feel like the Lions will put up a decent fight, but knowing that their hopes are still on the line. But it really just depends on the outcome of that game. If the Seattle Seahawks win that game, the Lions pretty much are playing for nothing. So I don't think they'll go 100%. They'll probably try to end the season off on a high note. But Aaron Rodgers, man, he's not going to miss the postseason when it's all in his hands. Before a couple weeks ago, he needed a lot of things to fall and go his way, but now he controls his own destiny. I don't think he's going to miss the playoffs. Go ahead and give me the Green Bay Packers to win this game. Do I think they cover this -4.5 spread? I think they do. The defense is going to be giving the Detroit Lions a really hard time, especially if they play the way they did last week against my Minnesota Vikings. So the Packers will be in the playoffs, and the Lions, an 8-9 season is not bad. There's nothing to hang your head over. Dan Campbell he secured his job 7 weeks ago with the way they've been playing the second half of the season. And who knows, man? They're only a quarterback away from being a really, really good team. And I believe they have the Los Angeles Rams first-round pick this year. So there's still an opportunity to go grab a quarterback like C.J. Stroud in the draft, or Bryce Young, and maybe make a stronger push next season and actually be more consistent throughout the entire season, not just the second half. So with that being said, go ahead and give me the Green Bay Packers. I'm looking forward to this matchup, though. I'm hoping it's a good Sunday Night Football matchup just because it got flexed out of our Saturday night slate. But go ahead and give me Green Bay. But with that being said, that wraps up week 18 of the NFL season. Our first season is fully in the books. With that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to our week 17 overreactions, and not an overreaction. This one will be our last one for the NFL season. We'll go ahead and start off with the Cowboys are going to steal the NFC East and maybe the number 1 seed in the NFC.
I don't think this is an overreaction considering when Jalen Hurts' injury. I mean, if this was 2 weeks ago and he wasn't injured, I'd be saying this is probably an overreaction because I don't see an outcome where the Eagles would have lost 2 games without him. But at the same time, now that he's injured, I mean, it's definitely not an overreaction. I mean, the Cowboys have been playing great, and the Eagles, missing their starting quarterback, they definitely can steal that top spot in the NFC East. So I don't think it's an overreaction whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think it's an overreaction whatsoever. The only thing is, what's the issue with the Niners and them having the same record if they both come out and win and the Eagles lose?
I think the Well, let's look at it right now. Both teams win and the Eagles lose.
They're
I
both
believe
in that 12-4 right now, right?
both sitting at 12 and
I'm
4.
pretty sure it's conference wins after that. Whoever has the most wins in their own conference.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come. Yeah, it's gonna come down to who has the most wins in their division. And the San Francisco 49ers have the most wins in their division. So it looks like they'll be the one that hosts the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, so overreaction. Yeah, simple as that. I don't think they have a possibility for the 2 seed. I do think they do have a big possibility to hold that, and I feel like that's gonna happen, man. I feel like it's gonna be them at 2, Niners at 1, Eagles gonna drop to 5, Tampa at 4, Kirk and the Vikings at 3, and then the Giants at 6, and Seattle at 7.
You snuck in one of those names, man.
He definitely snuck in one of those names, but I do think this is a bit of an overreaction. For the part where they can sneak in for the one seed in the NFC. I think they do have an opportunity to win their division, though. You know, a lot of things. Just one thing has to go their way. The Giants have to step up for them, and you know, it's kind of interesting. 3 teams in the NFC, and the Cowboys need to win, and they need the Giants to do them a favor, and then the Eagles just have to win the game. But I don't think I think it's a bit of an overreaction, though. I don't think they'll clinch the 1 seed, but for the NFC East, they do have an opportunity to steal that spot from the Eagles. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. This one's going to spark a little bit of a discussion. The Vikings will lose in the first round of the playoffs.
I don't think this is an overreaction at all. This is not an overreaction whatsoever because, I mean, look how the Vikings have played up and down all season. 1-score games, man. That's literally not a good sign. I don't care how you can talk about execution in late games and fourth quarter, how they've been dominating and the point differential in the fourth quarter. Like the fact that if you had switched the 1-score games for the Vikings, that they would have been 1-15 is just ridiculous to me. It's just absolutely crazy. So I don't think it's an overreaction whatsoever. They have shown signs that they are very beatable. I mean, giving up points to teams, and this is a playoff setting. So, I mean, Kirk Cousins, you know, I like him. He's my guy. But in a playoff setting, it's a whole different story. So it's definitely not an overreaction.
I don't think this is an overreaction either, man. Actually, wait. Yeah, it's not an overreaction. I do think they're beatable in the playoffs, especially they're playing the Giants that they barely beat last time they played them. So, you know, their matchup's already secured. I feel like the Giants are locked in, and the only thing questionable is about the Vikings mentality. You know, sometimes when they go into these games, it's hey, are they going to show up defensively? Are they going to, you know, be consistent with the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball? And they haven't really showed that, you know. So big overreaction for me. Big overreaction, not an overreaction. That's what I mean. So yeah.
This is a very, 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 very big overreaction on my part. I think this is an overreaction simply because this is very, very disrespectful to even say for my team. Yeah, we're like what 11-0 in 1-score games. That just tells me we're good at executing in the fourth quarter. Our point differential for all the quarters, yeah, it's in the negatives right now. But in the fourth quarter, we are one of the best teams in football. We outscore everybody in the league. I think we're at plus 70 at this late into the season. We know how to win games. Last year, that was our problem. We weren't able to close out games. We weren't able to close out halves. And I feel like we've solved that problem. But the reason why this is an overreaction is because this is the first round we're talking about. We're going up against potentially the Giants, potentially the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, whatever the case, whoever we end up playing. I think we're massively better than all those teams. I don't care if we beat them by 1 point, by 2 points, by 3 points, we beat them, and we can do it. If we can do it once, we can do it again. So I think this is a big overreaction. It's looking like we're going to match up with the New York Giants if all things just fall the way they're supposed to fall. If the Niners win, if the Vikings win, is that we're going to be playing the Giants, and I feel like we beat the Giants one time. We just have to clean up a lot of things on our end, and we'll be better in this, and we'll be better at home against them during Wild Card Weekend. So this is a very, very big overreaction for me. But speaking of the Giants, we'll go into our next one. Brian Daboll has locked up the Coach of the Year award.
Not an overreaction. Like when I think about it, the fact that when we came into the season, we didn't have huge expectations for the Giants. We had question marks about, one, Daniel Jones being the quarterback for these guys. 2, Saquon Barkley's health. 3, the overall performance of the team and the talent at wideout. And they've exceeded expectations, like far, far exceeded expectations. So I don't think it's an overreaction to say Brian Dable has locked up coach of the year. I do think there are some other candidates, but if someone said, Brian Dable's easily the coach of the year in their opinion, I wouldn't be mad at that, because the way they came into the season and how they've looked, I mean, they've outperformed expectations. So not an overreaction in my eyes.
Not an overreaction for me as well. The expectation that we had on the Giants was they're going to be a 3-team, 4-team win. They're not going to do much this year. Offensively, we thought they're not going to do much, especially with the receivers that they had, Saquon's injury history coming back this year, and Daniel Jones' turnover issues. But they far, far exceeded our expectations due to the new head coaching staff, and even without a good receiver core, no names on that receiver core, they still found a way to make playoffs. So I feel like it's due to Brian Dabo and the head coaching unit, and not no reaction for me. You're on mute.
I'll agree with you guys on this one. I don't think this is an overreaction whatsoever. Brian Dable came into the New York Giants organization from Buffalo, and he came in there. He demanded one thing, and that was excellence. Of course, you guys said everything that I was going to say about the expectations for this New York Giants football team coming into the year. Our predictions we'll probably talk about a couple weeks from now, where we all probably had them around maybe the 5-4 win range. But now they're sitting here with 9 wins. With the playoff spot clinched going into week 18. So it doesn't necessarily matter what happens this week for them. It's just hats off to him. Even with all the wide receiver situations, wide receiver issues they've had this year with Kenny Golladay, a guy they paid big money to, hasn't really stepped on the field since maybe week 3, week 4. They traded a guy like the Kadarius Toney away, a guy that stepped onto the scene last year and really made a name for himself. Brian Dable came in and said, "Yo, that's not my guy. It's not going to work out here in New York for you, but we'll send you off to Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes." And they were still able to make the playoffs with wide receivers that are coming off the street. So I do agree with this statement here. I think Brian Dable has locked up the Coach of the Year award. He really deserves this award. I'm not going to lie. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. The Packers are going to be a dangerous team in the NFC playoffs.
100%. Yes. This is not an overreaction whatsoever. The reason why I'm saying this is the NFL is really just about getting hot at the right time. That's literally just a matter of if your defense, especially you're on the defensive end, if on the defensive end you come into the playoffs and your team is hot, right? It's on fire on that end. I feel like you're set up for success. Not that we're similarly as talented offensively as the Bengals last year, right? But I feel like the key for the Bengals last season when they made the playoffs was they just got hot at the right time, especially defensively. When you look at Joe Burrow's playoff stats, he had maybe 4 touchdowns in 3 games, or was it 3 touchdowns? He didn't have a high touchdown mark. He was under constant duress, but what kept him in games was defense. And I feel like that's the matter of the difference between going far into the playoffs and just getting stopped short. It's just a matter of your form going into the playoffs. And the fact that as long as we avoid the Niners, I have to add that disclaimer. We get PTSD when we see those guys. Like, I don't know what it is. We shaking our boots every time we see the Niners. I'm terrified of them. I don't want to see them. But other than that, I do think we are a dangerous team. I like the fact that we have Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't have to do too much at this current moment. So when we enter the playoffs, man, I think we're ready.
Overreaction. If the Eagles win, just say bye-bye to your hopes. It's as simple as that. If the Eagles win and they secure the number 1 seed, the Niners are just going to trample you guys if you guys make the playoffs. They're just going to just walk over you guys. So overreaction. Simple. I don't think Packers are going to make any noise, especially I feel like once they compete against the top teams, bar the Vikings, they're going to get cooked. Overreaction. Yeah, I'm muted again.
I'll probably come off as a bit biased in this one, but I do believe this is an overreaction simply because if they run into Philly, they're going to lose. Simply the same way they did the last time they matched up. If they run into the Dallas Cowboys, they beat the Cowboys. I don't see them beating them again on the road. And if they run into San Francisco, there's not.
Man, ain't nobody scared about the Cowboys, man.
I would put my house down against San Francisco for
Hey,
them to win
low
that
Oh
key,
game.
yeah,
low,
you can like I'll tell anybody
low
literally
key, man.
put all your savings like
On Niners.
the
But low
Niners.
key though, if Seattle does make the playoffs, right? I'd rather see the Cowboys. I'd rather
You
have
see
them.
me like the Cowboys like it ain't like
I feel like
I'm
they're
not scared
I
of
feel
the
like they're beatable. I feel like they're beatable, but they're a
the
good
Cowboys.
team. They're a good team.
Cowboys don't scare me like that. Like
Cowboys have
the
no,
Niners is different.
Cowboys,
Niners is different.
if Cowboys have a good day, they're a scary team. Very scary team.
If they have a good day,
They haven't put much together lately. They've been hooping, but they haven't put much together lately.
I think
I feel like
we're disrespecting
this is
the
Dak,
Cowboys.
though. This is Dak though. Like
Listen,
any quarterback I want to see in the playoffs is Dak. Like
we've
easily.
seen it in history too, man. Especially against the Rams, where they gassed it up, saying, "Oh, this is the opportunity to make the Super Bowl, beat Jared Goff," and he didn't show up. And yeah, I feel like he hasn't showed up in any playoff games at all. So I don't know.
I'll still trust the Dallas Cowboys and their defense,
But
regardless.
get back to the point.
Yeah, and regardless of what Dak Prescott puts out in the playoffs, I think he'll be okay this year. I still trust their defense enough to win them that game against the Green Bay Packers. And of course, like I said, I put my house down for the Niners to beat the Green Bay Packers once again. So I think this is a very, very big overreaction. Yeah, of course, it's about who gets hot in the month of December going into the postseason in January. But I don't think the Packers are as hot as people think as hot as people think. They played some decent teams, some good teams here and there. They played the Miami Dolphins, but Tua suffered a concussion. They beat us. I'll go ahead and give them that. But the other teams before that, not necessarily impressive. I think they have a Monday night win against the Rams and stuff like that. At the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers has to really step up in the playoffs. He hasn't really he hasn't really needed to do much these last couple of weeks. It's pretty much been the running game and the defense. We've seen some games where he's maybe throwing over a little over 200 yards and a couple touchdowns, or maybe even one touchdown. And we're seeing a lot of rushing touchdowns from Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. In the postseason, it's going to be completely different. It's going to be on him to make plays. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, but he might be going into his first postseason without Davante Adams. So what is that going to look like? Christian Watson is a rookie. He's never been in that position before. A guy like Davante Adams, he's very, very familiar with the postseason, so that's a guy you can trust. And I can't trust Aaron Rodgers to beat any of those three teams in the postseason. Of course, I don't think he'll beat the Minnesota Vikings if they end up matching up with us, but I don't think there's a way of them matching up with us. So, but to get back to this point, I do think this is an overreaction. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. The Jacksonville Jaguars are good enough to make trouble for some team in the AFC playoffs.
Not an overreaction. Again, back to the point of getting hot. That's really just the playoffs and doing damage, right? Like when you come into a game and Trevor Lawrence has been playing phenomenal since week 9 with his weapons, and the defense starting to pick up. Like I feel like he can cause some troubles for teams, man. This guy he's as talented as can get. He has good weapons on the outside, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. And then, of course, Travis Etienne in the backfield. And the defense has been getting better as of recently. Like, I just feel like these guys, with Trevor Lawrence at the helm, they can cause problems for anybody that sees them. So, not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction for me. Once they clinch that division spot, the 4th seed in the AFC, having that home game, and they've been hot since November. Like, ever since I feel like it's after that Eagles game where he had a couple turnovers and he looked ugly. They've been turning up ever since then. So for me, it's like, hot streak. They've been, heated up right now. And I feel like they can take on the Chargers. And don't forget what they did to the Chargers last time. They blew them out the water. And they got the home field advantage against them. And, Trevor Lawrence got to cement his spot and want to be in the top 6 quarterback in the league. And he has to show off against Justin Herbert. So I'm excited to see that.
I do think this is a little bit of an overreaction. Yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars have been hot as of late. Trevor Lawrence has been balling out. But at the same time, if they run into a team like the Chargers, who have been hot as of late too, I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars are good enough to beat the Chargers twice. The way the playoffs are looking right now. So I think this is a bit of an overreaction. They'll do a little bit of damage. They'll have their game in the playoffs will be respectable. It'll be watchable. People are going to be able to enjoy that game. But I don't see them moving beyond the first round. It's been a good second half of the season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But wild card weekend is where the run ends for them. They'll be going home, and the team that they play will be moving on. So I think this is a little bit of an overreaction. I do like what I've been seeing from the Jacksonville Jaguars, though. It's going to be nice to see, hopefully see them clinch a playoff spot if they win against the Tennessee Titans on Saturday night. But with that being said, that wraps up our Week 17 overreactions. Another overreaction. Any final words, though, fellas, before we sign off here?
I got a good one. If the Seahawks don't make the playoffs, their season's a failure. What are we calling that? Is that an overreaction or not an overreaction?
I'll let Big H start in this one.
I can't wait till Aaron Rodgers retires.
Wait, what did you mean, bro? I'm asking a good question.
I just can't wait for Aaron Rodgers to retire.
Wait, that's a good question.
After this year, it's looking real good. I heard he got a nice house up in Utah Mountain.
What you talking about, bro?
I'm just saying. You know, like I'm just saying.
Is that an overreaction?
It's an overreaction. It's an overreaction.
Why do you think it's an overreaction?
I just think it's an overreaction. If we win the game and the Packers win the game, it's just like, what else can we do? You know, we lost some close ones in the season, but we're still ending up with a top 3 pick, and we're still ending up with another top probably 15 to 20 pick, and that's 2 picks in the first round. And we're building on this team, and I feel like this team is just 2-3 players away from expanding to that top 10 teams. So I don't think it's an overreaction for me.
Yeah, you're a little more biased than me when we're talking about the Vikings earlier. But I'll go ahead and say my piece now. Like I said in recent weeks, this is not an overreact. This is that. Wait, what was it again? If the
Seahawks don't make the playoffs, their season's a failure.
Not an overreaction. I believe this is not an overreaction simply because the Seattle Seahawks could have solved 2 problems in one season, in one draft. Yes, you know, of course, you have the opportunity to draft a star quarterback and have him fail, but at the same time, you'd want to run that risk. You could have drafted a quarterback in this upcoming draft where you could have potentially got a guy like Bryce Young, a guy like CJ Stroud, and then you could have gotten a guy like Will Anderson that can solve your run defense problems.
So you're basically saying just to tank, right from the beginning of the season, just tank and lose games.
100%.
Okay, yeah, that never happened. So I don't know why you think of that.
A lot it is, but it doesn't
compared to other teams like the Texans, where we have way better talent that we just can't take off just because we need those 2 first-round picks. The talent that we had on our team is much different, especially with the draft picks we drafted these last 2 years. They've been balling out. So what's the point of us tanking?
Well, then I ask you this question then. The Seattle Seahawks, okay, they missed the playoffs to Sunday. They're not going to the postseason, and they still have that top pick from Denver, and you guys still have a top 15 through 20 pick of your own. And who are you drafting then? Are you drafting a quarterback with that top pick, or are you drafting
you're so focused on us drafting a quarterback when Geno Smith actually had a great season this year.
Yeah, he had a great season, but he's not fooling anybody.
Who's he not fooling?
Has he been playing great these last 6 to 8 weeks?
Has he?
No, he has not.
No.
Since that Tampa game, he's been terrible.
He's been playing okay though. But he has not been giving up 300 rush yards against teams. That's 3-4 games in a row. Us getting sliced and diced up the run game, giving up 300 yards a game. Is that Geno Smith's fault?
That's not Geno Smith's fault. But at the same time, Geno Smith hasn't been playing good since that Tampa Bay game.
No. He hasn't been playing ass though. Against the Raiders, when we lost against the Raiders, he only had 2 turnovers and a fumble due to Kenneth Walker reaching for the ball. Is that a bad game? He played fantastic against the Raiders. We just lost due to what? Josh Jacobs having 300 yards, and that's not his fault. So for me,
he's pretty good against the Rams as well.
He played great against was it the Rams or the Panthers? He played good against the Panthers.
The Rams.
He started off.
The Panthers was more of like a comeback though.
More of a
comeback.
Rams.
The Rams though, he was good. The Rams, he was
good against the Rams. I don't think he had bad games. I'm just saying he played okay. And our main problem is defensively, holding teams to run, holding them accountable. We get sliced and diced. That's what it's been all year long since the start of this beginning of the season. So no, for me, I don't think us moving on from Geno Smith is something that we have to do. I feel like we go after a top D tackle, a guy like Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. But for us to say, you need to draft the top quarterback immediately, I feel like that just puts us in a hole right back further down. I don't think drafting a quarterback is going to help us next year. So you
guys are replacing the Washington Commanders from being a team that doesn't know what side of the fence they're on. The Washington Commanders are going to go into this offseason and they're going to commit to either they're going to be a team that's going to be contending next year or a rebuilding team.
Don't compare Carson Wentz to Geno Smith. We've seen what.
No, but I'm talking about franchises though. The Washington Commanders
franchises though. We're building up though. Last year we were worse than we were this year. Yes or no?
Yeah, but that was the Russell.
So what makes us stop? What makes us stop from taking the next step up? Especially
a quarterback. A quarterback is stopping that.
We just plugged him in this system and he cooked up. So what's the issue there?
This is the best it's gonna get for Geno Smith. He can't
How
get
do you
any
know
better
that?
than
How do you
this
know that? How do you know
because
that?
he's been in the league for 8 years now.
And he
He's
finally
40
came into a system that works for him. Yes or no?
yes, but the thing is, he's not gonna get any better than this. There's no way Geno Smith can
We
go
don't
a
need it to
level
get,
up.
hey, we don't need it to get any better than what he did this year. You know what I'm saying? 30 touchdowns,
Then at
4,400
but then
yards.
at the end of the day, then that's not gonna win
What
you
we need
games,
to get
though.
better at is stop letting teams put up 300 rush yards a game. Simple as that. That's our main issue.
Yes, that's
That's
one
the
main
number one
issue.
issue.
But
That's
then
the
another
number one
issue is the quarterback
For
position.
me, no,
Geno Smith's not going to be able to win you. He's not going to get you to the
I just
playoffs.
don't think Bryce Young is a quarterback. I just don't think that. For us,
Well,
it's just,
well, there's multiple quarterbacks in this draft, though. There's CJ
for
Stroud
us
who's
to say,
coming
for us
in.
to say, for us to say, move on from a quarterback. Geno Smith had a better year than Kirk Cousins. Are you guys going to move on from Kirk Cousins this year?
No, we're not going to move on from Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins won us games this year, and he won us the North.
He's muted, but to kind of add on to this discussion, I mean, I think it's an overreaction to say it's a failure. The only reason why I say that though is because they own the Broncos pick. As it
And
stands,
we
as
own
it
the
is.
pick. And we
If
own
the
the pick.
If the Broncos were good, right? If the Broncos were actually good this year, and the Seahawks still were playing like this, and they didn't make the playoffs, and the Broncos were good, I'd be like, okay, well, it's a failure now because you're not going to get a high draft pick. But with the Broncos being bad and the Seahawks still getting a top 15, top 20 pick, I think it is kind of an overreaction because, like, one, Geno Smith is not the problem in Seattle. Like, regardless of whoever you plugged in at quarterback this year, there's still going to be an issue for Seattle that they need to solve, which is their run defense. So, I mean, like, getting a talent like Jalen Carter right away, that uplifts that team. And I mean, Geno Smith doesn't have mileage on him though. That's my thing.
He's 32 years old.
He doesn't have mileage. It's not like he's been a starting quarterback for time. This is like his real full season as a starting quarterback playing at this level. So, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. The Seahawks might as well. And then at the same time, it's not like there's like a generational talent quarterback in this upcoming draft. I mean, there's question marks about all three top quarterbacks, from Bryce Young to CJ Stroud to what's his name, Will
Levis.
Will Levis. I mean, there's question marks around all three, and like even it's gotten to the point where I think the Texans themselves, they shouldn't even think about a quarterback in this draft. If I'm them, I get someone like Jalen Carter, and then I tank again and go for Caleb Williams, and then the year afterwards. Like that's how much I don't rate the quarterback class this year. So I mean, I think it is kind of an overreaction. So.
I think when you draft a young quarterback, you're drafting him based off potential. You don't necessarily expect him to be NFL ready right away. There's of course when you're spending a very, very top pick on him, very early on in the draft. Yes, the time frame for that young prospect to be ready and great in the NFL, it's very, very short. You expect him to start week 1 for you and kind of lead your team into a different direction, at least going upwards. With the Seattle Seahawks, this is what's going to happen for them with the way their season is going to shape out. They're going to probably end up missing the playoffs because the Green Bay Packers will clinch that last spot. They'll use that top pick from the Denver Broncos and go ahead and draft Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, whoever it is. They're going to draft a guy to bolster up that defensive line. And they're going into next season with Geno Smith. This is going to be Geno Smith's best year. I'll go ahead and say this on record. There is no way Geno Smith, who's been a journeyman in the NFL, is going to take a step up on the Seattle Seahawks team going into next year. And then they're going to have the Seattle Seahawks are going to be very, very similar to the Washington Commanders, like I was saying. The Washington Commanders are a team that don't know what side of the fence they're on, and the Seattle Seahawks are going to replace them in that position, simply because this season, if the Seattle Seahawks were to make the playoffs, it would be a successful season simply because, yes, with that top pick from the Denver Broncos and with Geno Smith being
what changes if we make the playoffs and we lose the first round?
It's a step in the right direction. Then you're telling teams like, yo, we traded away our quarterback that we had for 7-8 years, Russell Wilson. We moved on from him. We exceeded all expectations.
Teams know that already. They already seen it.
You exceeded all expectations, right? And you end up making the playoffs. So you're sending a message to the league like, hey, we moved on from Russell Wilson and we got another guy and he can take us to the promised land. He can take us to the playoffs. Geno Smith, if he misses out on the playoffs, everybody it's going to be like, yo, okay, hey, why compete the entire season and then choke away at the end of the year?
But you act like he's the one that sold the season. You act like he's the one that lost
because
the season.
okay, I'll point
When
out
we go
one.
into games and Panthers come in and they had 335 rush yards and we can't tackle for shit, it's Geno Smith's fault. Yes or no?
Geno Smith's been turning over the ball since that Tampa Bay
But
Buccaneers
but
game.
giving up 330 rush yards on top of the passing yards.
But
it's Geno Smith's fault.
your rushing defense has always been a problem though. But then
It's been a problem. That's why we lose games. The games
you're losing games. You're losing
against the
games
Jets,
between a
against the
mixture
Jets,
of Geno
against the
Smith
Jets.
and
They
your
had
rushing
50 rush yards.
defense.
Yes, against the Jets, we contain them to 50 rush yards. Yes or no?
Yes, but you're playing the Jets, who have pretty much no running back.
That we playing the Jets. We play the Panthers. Who's their running back?
Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. That's a respectable backfield in
Don't say
comparison to
that's
Zonovan.
respectable.
If the Jets had Breece Hall, if the Jets have Breece Hall, he's gonna gash you guys just like every other running back has. And I'm telling you guys,
every other running back has, and we have to fix that problem. A quarterback.
Yes, and I agree with you, and I agree with you guys. But if you guys go into next season, right, and you guys go ahead and use your top pick on Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, what is the expectations? What is the outlook for your guys' season going into next year with Geno Smith?
Do you think
Geno Smith's going to be a starter
going into next year? Our expectations to take a step back.
You guys are not going to. You guys are definitely taking a step back next year with Geno Smith.
I'm done. I'm just hearing a whole lot of bogus. Like he's not addressing the issue I'm trying to address. He's just going back to Geno Smith like he hasn't had a better season in a lot.
This is what I'm telling you though. I'm telling you.
What tell you Geno Smith
because
is
because Geno Smith's been a journeyman his entire career in the NFL.
He's finally on a team that he starts on with a fantastic coach.
He's not going to get any better than this though.
How do you know he's not going to get better?
How is he gonna get better? You guys still have
He's 31 years old.
Still have offensive line problems? Yes or no? You guys not have offensive line problems? Yes or no?
I think we shaped up pretty good this year.
No, you guys the offensive line is one of the worst offensive lines in the league.
Wait. So then, how do you view someone like the Lions? Because like when I see the Lions, like they have someone like Jared Goff who's been playing great at quarterback for them this year. Like, how do you view them? Do you think if they don't make the playoffs, it's been a failure for them as well?
No, I don't think it's a failure for the Detroit Lions.
Why
because this is what the Detroit Lions are going to do. They're going to use their top pick on a quarterback. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to take a quarterback with their top pick.
Is that a guarantee?
Jared Goff has been playing great, but he hasn't been playing great enough to fool that franchise into keeping him for maybe 1 or 2 more years. They know that if they have, of course, it can always just go into next year and tank and then get the next up and coming quarterback like Caleb Williams. But I feel like the Lions right now, they're in prime position to go ahead and grab a quarterback now with CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, whoever it is with that top pick from the Los Angeles Rams and go ahead and develop him. Whether it's just to use that top pick on him, and you can still keep a guy like Jared Goff on the roster. You can still keep him on the roster and have him just sit that first year. And if Jared Goff is struggling next year, you can always throw him into the fire and see what that young quarterback is made of. And that's what the Seattle Seahawks could have done next year. But now, if Geno Smith struggles next year, who are they going to resort to? The guy they traded for that he hasn't played a game yet?
I'm hearing a whole lot of ifs. Like we didn't just play better than our last 3 years, man. I'm hearing a whole lot of ifs. Like we just did not have a better season the last 3 years.
I'll go ahead and close things out.
A whole lot of ifs to me saying if this happens, if they need this, if Geno Smith is going to take a step back, they're going to.
There's no way.
After we proved everybody wrong, after we proved everybody wrong this year, it's a whole lot of ifs. So to me,
you proved everybody wrong to what extent though? You missed. I
didn't expect to make playoffs. I did not expect. That was not my expectation. So like I said, everybody didn't expect us to make playoffs. We proved everybody wrong. Yes or no?
But you're missing the playoffs though.
I don't know. How much wins did you predict us in the beginning of the season?
4 wins.
But did they prove you wrong this year?
To a certain extent.
No,
yes.
Did they prove you wrong? Yes or no? Did they pass
to a certain extent, yes. With the amount of wins you guys got.
That was everybody's expectation. I didn't believe they made the playoffs. But you as an NFL team come into the season with 53 grown men and look at them and say, "Oh, we have to tank this year for a rookie quarterback next year."
You have to. But right now, what the Seattle Seahawks are trying to do, they're trying to speed. You guys are trying to speed up the timeline.
Speed up how? We have rookies
because you hit on every young draft prospect.
And then whose fault is that? You expect them to take a step back next year?
I'm not. It's not a fault. It's not. Bro, for a franchise to hit on majority of their draft picks, it's very, very rare. So I'm giving you guys credit. I'm giving you guys credit there. I don't believe that.
He's done it multiple times.
for Seattle to do that is very, very impressive. But at the same time, you guys are trying to speed up this timeline that you guys are on. When you guys moved on from Russell Wilson, of course, the whole world's expectations were for you guys to suffer and to tank and to go into a full rebuild.
I don't get what timeline you're talking about.
A rebuilding timeline. I'll ask you this: when you traded Russell Wilson, you guys were supposed to go into a rebuild, right?
We have a first round pick this year, and we have the Broncos' first round pick next year. They're gonna be horrible again. So back-to-back years, we got top 3, top 4 picks. Is that a bad deal?
Yeah, yes, because I don't think the Broncos will be bad like this in year 2. So you're saying I'm saying a whole bunch of ifs. You're saying if the Broncos are bad once again, you have another top pick. And
there you go. If you're using ifs, I'm using this. That's how we're gonna go at it.
At the end of the day, I'll go ahead and say my piece. I do believe this is a failure for the Seattle Seahawks if they end up missing the playoffs. So I don't think this is an overreaction at all.
Because we were projected to have 3 wins at the beginning of the season.
It was nice. I mean, it was nice football.
The failure of a season, but everybody projected us 3 wins. So I want to go off what the projection is, not what 10, 12 weeks later on in the season.
Because the way I'm seeing it is, I don't think Geno Smith is the franchise quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks.
Nobody's saying he's a franchise. Nobody's saying he's a franchise quarterback. I'm just saying there's nobody in this draft that I like, and saying
that's you personally though.
But I'm a Seahawks fan. I'm trying to come into the Vikings locker room and say, "Yo,
I'm trying to speak from the perspective of the Seattle Seahawks franchise, though. Of course, every fan's gonna have their own opinion on how they feel about the draft.
I can speak on everybody's franchise in here, and you're gonna disagree with it. That's fair to say.
That's fair to say. I'm not taking that away from.
No, but you're going to disagree with it regardless of the situation, right? Because
technically, it depends on what you're saying about my franchise. If it makes sense, then it makes sense.
Hey, Kirk Cousins need to go.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that one. Personally, I wouldn't disagree with you on that.
There's a whole lot of problems, you know what I'm saying?
There's a few guys that do need to go off my team.
A whole lot of problems. And like I said, for our issue,
but it's interesting though. You say my franchise has some problems, but we're 12-4 and we won our division and we're going into the playoffs.
What does it mean? It's still good. No. But what does it mean going 13-4 and losing in the first round? What's all that work done for?
Then it's a failure on our season. Then it's but your
excuse is, I just want to make playoffs.
No, but if you come in and say if we go 13-4,
your expectation was to do damage in the playoffs.
And this is what I'm trying to say. If you come into to the following episode post wild card weekend and you say the Viking season was a failure, I wouldn't disagree with you on that. I would agree with you. If we go home in the first round, it's
that's the thing. There's a difference. If you guys are expected to make damage in the playoffs, that was your expectation.
That's correct.
Our expectations were never to make playoffs. So to say it's a failure of a season is like you're not holding your expectations. Whatever you said at the beginning of the season,
because it's like in basketball, it's the same thing that applies to football. You don't want to be in no man's land. You don't want to be in that gray area whether you're rebuilding or whether you're on.
Hold it to what you said about the projections at the beginning of the season. That's your expectation. We passed your expectation. It's not a failure. In your eyes, it's not a failure.
Well, personally, it's still a failure in my eyes if you guys miss the playoffs. You're going into next season with Geno Smith as your quarterback. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be competing
had a better year than Kirk.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Kirk Cousins is making the playoffs. Geno is not making the playoffs. But I think I said my piece.
Blaming Geno for a loss is not bringing up the defense at once. It's crazy.
I mean, that's the thing you're saying. I haven't brought up the defense. I brought up the defense. I'm telling you have defensive line issues.
85% of the problem is defense, and then you brought up the O-line problem as well. So if we have to fix that, then nothing falls on Geno.
Everything. Not everything falls on Geno, but I think it's equal all around.
Geno saved us in a lot of games that we needed him. I mean, he hooped in a lot of games that we needed him.
We pull up the stats. Against Tampa, not so
29 great. Interceptions. I mean, 29 touchdowns, 9 interceptions is kind of impressive. I can't lie.
4,300 yards.
Majority.
I don't know if it's 4,300. I'm not too sure.
He was a little over 4,000 passing yards. Majority of his damage for Geno came in the first half of the season. He did have a few good spots these last couple of weeks since the second half of the season, going from the Tampa game. But the turnovers have increased, and I made that point 2-3 weeks ago. So personally, I don't think Geno Smith is the franchise quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. Big H, you can disagree with me there as much as you want. But we're just going to have to agree to disagree. But any final words though before we sign off here? I think I've said my piece.
Big week next week, man. Big week,
man. Can't wait to be the playoffs.
I for the first time this entire season, I probably won't watch the Minnesota Vikings game simply because there's not much to play for. I probably pay more attention to the Niners game for a little bit, but I think that game's going to get out of hand early too. But looking forward to week 18 of the NFL season. This is our last regular season preview episode before we head into Wild Card Weekend next week. So of course we'll be right here to talk about that. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and sign off here. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I really appreciate your love and support. We'd greatly appreciate it if you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Media Podcast. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, all of our social media handles will be in the beginning of this video. And if you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, if you go to our Instagram page at New Media Podcast, you'll be able to navigate yourself to all of our social media handles there. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lake, now that's overkill.